Scene opens with a close-up on a dusty, unmarked black VHS tape. The shot is slightly shaky, as if filmed by hand. They said it didn't exist. A ghost story, whispered among niche collectors and late-night forum dwellers. The Blackwood tape, a recording so malevolent, so utterly cursed, that its mere existence was debated. A myth. Until someone found it. Cut to a dimly lit room, filled with shelves of old electronics and videotapes. A person, let's call him Alex, is seen from the back, holding the tape. This is Alex, a seasoned collector, a guy who thought he'd seen it all. He found the tape at a forgotten estate sale, tucked away in a moldy cardboard box in a damp basement. It was just there. No label, no sleeve, just a small, handwritten piece of masking tape stuck to the spine. It had 2 words on it: "Do not play." For anyone else, that would be a warning. For a collector like Alex, it was an invitation. He'd heard the legends, of course, the stories of a tape that watches back. He dismissed them as campfire tales, urban legends for the digital age. But the sheer, unsettling presence of this object in his hands, it felt different. He felt a cold dread, but also an irresistible pull. He had to know. Shot of Alex inserting the tape into an old VCR. The machine whirs and clicks loudly. Back in his workshop, surrounded by the comforting hum of vintage technology, he slotted the tape into his most reliable deck. The TV screen flickered to life with a blast of angry, rolling static, not the usual grey fuzz. This was different. It was aggressive. Dark lines warped and twisted across the screen, like grasping fingers trying to pull themselves out of the cathode ray tube. Alex adjusted the tracking, a familiar ritual. The static calmed, but only slightly. Then a shape began to emerge. It was faint at first, a distorted image of a room. An empty room, bathed in a sickly, green-tinged light. There was no sound, just the hiss of the tape. Alex leaned closer, squinting. The room looked familiar. The way the chair was positioned, the poster on the wall. His heart hammered against his ribs. It was his room. He was looking at a live recording of his own workshop, but the camera wasn't there. There was no camera. He scanned the image on the screen, his breath catching in his throat. In the far corner of the room, on the TV, shrouded in digital noise and shadow, something was standing there. A tall, impossibly thin figure, its form barely distinguishable from the static. It was just watching. Alex spun around. The corner of his workshop was empty. Just shadows. He looked back at the screen. The figure was still there. And then the screen went black. The screen is black for a few seconds. Only the sound of a person's heavy breathing is heard. Alex ejected the tape, his hands trembling. He told himself it was a glitch, a strange signal interference. He tried to rationalize it, to box it up and label it as a technical anomaly, but he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. That night, sleep offered no escape. He dreamed of static, of a whisper that coiled around his name. Alex. He woke up in a cold sweat, the sound still echoing in his ears. Was it a dream? He had to be sure. The next day, against every screaming instinct in his body, he played the tape again. This time the image was clearer. It was his workshop again, from the same impossible angle. But this time, the camera was closer to the chair. His chair. And in the reflection of the dark TV screen on the table, he could see himself, watching the tape. He was watching himself, watching himself. And the figure was there again, closer this time. Its features were still indistinct, a smudge of darkness, but he could feel its presence, a weight in the air that was both physical and psychic. And then came the whisper, not from his dream, but from the TV speakers themselves. a dry, rasping sound layered over the tape hiss. Alex. This is the core of the Blackwood tape's curse. It doesn't just show you a scary movie. It records you. It absorbs you into its own terrible reality. Each time the tape is played, it adds a new layer, a new recording of its viewer. And with every playback, the barrier between our world and whatever is inside that magnetic ribbon gets thinner. Alex was trapped. He tried to destroy the tape. He tried to smash it with a hammer, but the casing wouldn't even crack. He tried to burn it, but the flames wouldn't touch it. The tape was indestructible. He was tethered to it. The whispering started even when the TV was off. He'd hear his name called from empty rooms. Shadows in his peripheral vision would elongate and twist into that horrifyingly thin silhouette. He was losing his grip. Paranoid and sleep-deprived, he started documenting everything, setting up his own cameras, trying to catch the entity on his own terms. This is where the found footage aspect becomes truly terrifying. We're no longer just hearing a story, we're seeing Alex's descent through his own lens. We see him talking to the camera, his eyes wide and haunted, trying to explain the unexplainable. Cut to a shaky handheld camera shot, simulating Alex's footage. The room is messy. Charts and notes are taped to the wall. It's the third time, he'd say, his voice a ragged whisper. I played it again. I had to. I thought maybe I could see its face. The footage. It was of me, last night, sleeping. It was watching me sleep, and it was standing right next to my bed. He'd point the camera to the spot, the empty space now charged with an unspeakable dread. It whispered my name, all, night, long. The psychological toll is the real horror. The tape feeds on fear. It isolates its victim, making them question their own sanity. Friends and family would think he was losing his mind, pushing them away, leaving him utterly alone with his tormentor. The entity on the tape grew bolder. It was no longer just a static shrouded figure in the corner. In the recordings, it would now move. A slow, unnatural shuffle, its limbs moving at impossible angles. The final recording Alex made is the most disturbing piece of footage I have ever heard described. He played the tape one last time. This time, the recording on the VHS wasn't of him in his workshop. It was a dark, narrow hallway that didn't exist in his house. The whisper was gone. In its place was a low, guttural growl. From the end of the hallway on the screen, the figure began to walk towards the camera. Towards Alex. In his own footage, we see Alex staring, hypnotized at the TV. We see the figure on the screen get closer and closer, its form becoming sharper, more defined with every step. It filled the screen, and then the lights in Alex's workshop flickered and died. His camera, which was recording him, filled with static. For just a split second before the static consumed the image, you could see it. The same tall, thin silhouette, no longer on the TV screen but standing right behind Alex. Then the camera falls, and the recording ends. Alex was never seen again. His workshop was found abandoned. The only thing missing was the unmarked VHS tape. The legend says the tape is still out there, waiting for the next curious collector, the next person to ignore the simple warning. Do not play. Because once you press play, you become part of the recording. Forever. Thanks for watching. If you're fascinated by tales of cursed objects and analog horror, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the unknown. Stay safe, and maybe think twice before picking up that old tape at a garage sale. You never know what's waiting on it.